The month of May explodes in Boston Wrestling MWF. Joining us for the first time in studio will be ECW icon New Jack, Saturday, May the 8th, taping episodes of Wrestling Insiders in a special live episode with a Cyber autograph signing. Then Saturday, May the 22nd, Sunday, May the 23rd, the legendary Demolition Axe, the Masked Superstar, one half of the greatest tag team in WWE history, joins us for 2 days of Wrestling Insider tapings in a live Cyber autograph signing with photos already signed by Demolition Smash. It's going to be a month to remember. Head on over to bostonwrestling.com. Pre-order your 8x10 photos now and help keep wrestling legends working.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
At Night of Champions 2020, Tribal Chief Roman Reigns successfully defended the WWE Universal Championship against his cousin, Jey Uso, in a must-see battle. Here is your chance to own a piece of Roman Reigns' moments before battle on this beautiful limited edition autographed 11x14 poster, direct from friends at WWE. It's number 19 of only 50 made, includes WWE authentication hologram on the poster itself, suitable for framing and matting. You'll also receive a bonus Legends autographed 8x10 photo in an on-air shout-out on Wrestling Insiders as our thanks for helping keep wrestling legends working. Get this ultra-rare Roman Reigns autograph poster now.
Cheer. Why, hello. I would ask what was on your mind, but I already know. You want to know what has got my beard looking oh so majestic. And I'll tell you, it's sexy as hell beard care. Coconut oil, vitamin E oil, almond oil, both sweet and bitter, shea butter, it's all natural. Yes, JTG has actually come out with a high quality product. So support your boy by going to sahbeardcare.com and take one step closer to becoming sexy as hell. Cheer. Ooh, cheer. You know?
Boston Wrestling Sports and the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to the debut edition of our Sunday Wrestling Insiders Fair but Stern Talk Show. I'm Dan Marty, here at MWF Studios, downtown Melrose, Massachusetts, in the zip code of Champion 02176. It is a beautiful spring afternoon. When I say beautiful, we wouldn't even need the seasons to change if every day could be just like today. I don't need the summer heat. I don't need snow. I don't need leaves to change colors. I like my weather like this, right? High 60s, low 70s. I think that is beautiful. Hopefully you'll think this talk show is beautiful. We have big breaking news from Dr. David Reese. A big shakeup on the MWF Board of Directors. Pistol Pete Tringali is out. He is going on to enjoy his golden years of life. We wish Pistol Pete the best. And he's being replaced by some young blood, and not just former, but the first Millennium Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion, Tiger Mulligan, the man that won a Soul Survivor competition at the very first Soul Survivor in 2003. He was presented the championship belt by WWE Hall of Famer Bobby the Brain Heenan. Tiger is on the board of directors, and he's also going to be my co-host on Fair But Stern. I am looking forward to it. Tiger is an opinionated man. He rubs many the wrong way. He rubbed many the wrong way during his long undefeated streak here in Boston Wrestling MWF. But you know what? I always respected his opinions, his thoughts. He has a great mind for the king of sports professional wrestling, as you're likely going to see here on this podcast. But I look forward to his influence as we return to live in-ring wrestling, especially Saturday night, November the 13th, as we get ready to go back to the 80s at our WrestleFest, Fanfest, and we celebrate 20 years of MWF in-ring wrestling. Tiger competed on our first event all the way back in September of 2001, and again, had one hell of an undefeated streak. His career curtailed by some pretty serious knee injuries, which I'm sure he'll discuss. We had a technical snafu last night. Cecil the Lion had me on a mission. Our Wrestling Insiders Week in Review did not premiere as we had planned. I was very angry when I returned to Mirade Hill close to midnight and realized it did not play for you guys, but just as a heads up, it will premiere at 8 o'clock tonight. Top of the hour, Wrestling Insiders Week in Review. All 5 of last week's Wrestling Insider shoot interviews with Men on a Mission's Oscar, WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas, Sinister Minister James Mitchell, Marty Jannetty and John Cena Sr., and one-stop shopping, baby. That's what it's all about. If you don't have time to dedicate to the shows each night, it's one easy way to catch up. Just kick back, listen to some great wrestling talk. How about that? Well, you're going to get some great wrestling talk tonight here, too. Got to get a couple of cheap plugs in before Tiger joins me. Don't forget, Oscars Wrestling Insiders Monday Night Mission is changing times, baby. We had tried to premiere it before Raw. We want to see what it's like if we premiere it after Raw, to give you some fresh wrestling talk from a man that guided Men on a Mission to Tag Team Championship Gold in 1994. So Oscars Monday Night Mission will premiere at 11 p.m. on Monday nights going forward, whether you watch it late night Monday, whether you listen to it Tuesday morning on the way to work, however you choose to watch it. With that said, of course, we still have a blockbuster month of May. Get your calendars out to try and keep track of the happenings. I'm having a hard time with it. We continue to bring you new original content at least twice a day. Other than WWE, who the hell is doing that? I'm sure there's some people out there that you guys are going to say, well, he does, she does. But you know what? It's a lot of work for me. It's a hell of a lot of work for me, guys. That's why I have no life. All I do is produce, and then I watch these premieres, and I go to bed, and I do it all over again. I'm missing half of the Red Sox baseball season thus far. But nonetheless, this Saturday night, May the 8th, ECW icon, former 3-time tag team champion New Jack, will be joining us for a series of Wrestling Insider tapings, watch-alongs, and a live episode featuring a cyber autograph signing. Great chance for you to support the show, get an autograph collectible that New Jack will sign to you live on the air, and give you a shout-out as he's doing it. You can pre-order your New Jack autograph photo now at bostonwrestling.com. Barring a cyber act of God, we will be back for WWE WrestleMania Backlash, a pay-per-view watch-along Sunday night, May the 16th, myself and Dave Carter. The watch-alongs are always fun and interactive, good for some laughs and hopefully some great wrestling on WWE's next pay-per-view offering on WWE Network on Peacock. To me, even bigger, we have a doubleheader, Saturday, May the 22nd, Sunday, May the 23rd. The legendary Demolition Axe, a.k.a. the Masked Superstar, joins us for not one but two days of historic Wrestling Insider tapings, watch-alongs, and live cyber autograph signings. Demolition Smash signed some photos for us when we were in Tampa, so you can get a beautiful 8x10 photo signed by the greatest tag team in WWE history for your collection. We'll also have individual acts and mass superstar photos available. Again, head on over to bostonwrestling.com to pre-order yours now. More acts photos will be added. As we noted, Wrestle House in Tampa was a lot of fun, and it was productive, even though they were productions, but it was a killer to our numbers for the month of April. I mean, really, really, really bad. It took over a week away from our dedication to what we do on the computer and so on and so forth. So we really need to pick things up in May. We need your help. Of course, if you want to continue to have the 5 nights of original talk shows per week, we need you to join the Boston Wrestling MWF family over on Patreon. Not friendship, not a fan club. It's an inner circle, a professional wrestling family that for just a couple of bucks brings you early ad-free access to Wrestling Insiders. Our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library is seen by millions online and millions more on The Howard Stern Show. Patreon exclusives and more, all while helping keep wrestling legends working over on patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Give it a try. We think you'll love it again. Patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Coronavirus, as you know, it's killed the nightlife for many businesses. It's killed the nightlife for people that like to rock, like Marty, Jannetty, and Glantz, but that cannot be said for our eBay store, which is open 24/7. The Melrose Post Office, I tell you, they're lacking help as it is to begin with. They only have one teller instead of two, and they're getting tired of seeing me show up. The good news is that means we've been having items sold, and that helps us produce the talk shows. See, it all comes full circle. We need you to buy the great merchandise in the Boston Wrestling eBay store. The link can be found in the description box below, or if you go to bostonwrestling.com, just click that store button. It'll bring you right there. Every order will get you an on-air shout-out from one of our legends that appears on Wrestling Insiders. We know we got to get caught up because of our situation with Tony, but you're going to get that on-air shout-out, folks. If you enjoy the talk show series and all of the hard work we put into it, and there's a lot of hard work that goes into it, the gray $sign button, that super chat button under the premiere box is open. Click the button. Don't forget to tip the bartender. That's what they said at the comedy show that Cecil had me help with last night. Definitely not getting rich doing this, folks, but we do need to stay alive so we can bring you more and more great content. Every single dollar helps. If everybody chipped in a little, we wouldn't need a few to do a lot. But you know what? If you want to do a lot, we're not going to say no. And there are plenty of ways you can support the show at no cost to you whatsoever other than a few seconds of your time. Give tonight's show a big thumbs up if you enjoy it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for free. Over 2,000 free videos. If you click the little bell, you'll get notifications when new programs premiere. Let's show YouTube how much you enjoy the shows, so they will showcase our programs to new fans. The more new fans that get involved, we continue to grow the fan base, the friendship, the family. And that means more ad revenue that comes in. That means more superstars we can book. That means more superstars we can book more often, more cyber autograph signings, more live episodes, more Patreon exclusives. See what I mean? It's just, it all comes full circle, but we need your help. The growth from 2020 to 2021 is amazing, but we can't slow down. April was a bad month. Last but not least, share the link to these great talk shows online, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Reddit, wrestling Facebook groups. Send them to wrestling websites, I should say. Without a giant advertising budget, it does make our job a lot harder, but we have the best fan base in professional wrestling. We love you guys. I have zero doubt we can do it. With that said, it's time to be fair, but stern. And as promised, folks, here he is, the man with an undefeated streak that almost made Goldberg jealous, the first Millennium Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion, again, that it was presented to him by the Hall of Famer Bobby the Brain Heenan, the newest member of the MWF Board of Directors. You talk about some young blood being added, replacing Pistol Pete Tringali. I welcome to Wrestling Insider's Fair but Stern, Tiger Mulligan.
Sir, how are you, bro? I'm back. I'm
Matt
ready
Riddle
to get
stole
going.
your gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
The original bro was you.
Yeah, you know, I had to keep everything, going, so to speak. And, with me in my old age now, I couldn't bro anymore. So I decided to, give it to him and pass the torch, so to speak. But
Well, he's not that much younger than us, so, it's not really like you were passing the baton too far into the future.
yeah, but you can only bro for so long. And,
Well,
my bro days in the ring are over, but my bro days on the board of directors and the Millennium Wrestling Federation will never, ever stop.
well, what you lack in the knee, I guess you have never lost in the brain or definitely in the mouth.
Never.
All right. Well, we have yet another great addition to our series of Wrestling Insiders talk shows. 7 days a week, we have content for you guys. Fair but stern, an idea you came up with.
No. See, you're doing it wrong. It's
all right.
Stern but fair.
I had the name of it wrong.
Yes. Here's my policy on life.
All right.
People aren't always going to like what you say because you got to be tough. You got to be stern. You got to tell them the way that it is. But if you be fair with them and you be fair with everybody, they can't have anything to say about it. So you're going to be stern. You're not going to like it sometimes, but you're going to be fair because you're going to tell everybody how much you hate them.
There's going to be a lot of hate on this show.
No,
usually that's my job.
No. I'm not going to hate unless I absolutely need to. But I'm going to be stern. I'm going to tell you the way it is, but we're going to be fair about it.
All right. Well, you had a illustrious in-ring career. If you did not have those major knee surgeries, I would have liked to have seen where you would have wound up, whether that be, I guess it would have been FCW at that point down in Florida, Championship Wrestling. I think OVW may have been getting ready to close up shop, at least with WWE's affiliation at that point. But again, that mind of yours is always thinking. It's always ticking. And I don't respect everyone's opinion, as you know, but I do respect yours. So that's why I think this show will be a lot of fun for the fans that don't know you, that may be familiar with the WWE known type superstars that are on our talk shows. I think this is going to be insightful, if nothing else. So where do we begin with the premiere episode of Stern But Fair, now that we've kind of introduced who you are and what you do? And
well, it's funny is I've been getting grouchy the past couple days because as much as I don't want to feed into the wrestling BS and reading the dirt sheets and stuff, I just couldn't hold back yesterday as I started to look on the dirt sheets, so to speak, and I see stuff on there that it's just I just can't believe it, and I just kind of question the route that wrestling goes these days. And, especially with I guess we can call it the COVID era. Is that what it's called now?
I had not heard that statement before, but I think it's a fair statement on everything that's gone on the past 14 months or so.
So if they start using it on TV, if you start hearing COVID era, let me know so I can start to get my royalty checks because I came up with it. But either way, So what they really needed
last year at WrestleMania at the warehouse was JR to call Drew McIntyre's win and say the COVID era has begun as opposed to the Austin era has begun.
Or whatever they call this era nowadays, the Drew McIntyre era or whatnot. They
could call that the Drew McIntyre error with an R at the end.
So see, are you not a fan of the Drew McIntyre era?
Here's my thing with Drew McIntyre. Would I have selected him as the guy to go with if I was WWE? No. But I understand why they did. He's relatively young. He's got a great size. He's well-spoken. He's got a good look to him. Brock Lesnar did a great job in making him look like a top-notch superstar. The problem was life was at the worst possible time for it to happen. If it was me, I would not have had Drew McIntyre lose until there were fans back in the building so they could gauge just how over he is. Forget about social media and those different types of online metrics. The real way you're going to know how over or unover someone is by that live crowd reaction. And the poor guy never had a chance to do that. They had him lose the title for no reason to Randy Orton for 3 weeks last fall to try and boost pathetic ratings during the Monday night football early season. And then not only that, he regains it, and then they had him lose it to, of all people, talk about worthless, The Miz. And so now, even if I'm sure he's going to get it back at some point, but I was very happy it did not happen at WrestleMania, which I expected. I thought he was going to have his moment in the sun, in the Sunshine State, even if there was no sun in the Sunshine State, is there was a monsoon going on during the match with him and Bobby Lashley. But I think if he will get it back at some point. I just think he's lost his luster because he lost twice. The thing is with wrestling, they can say, oh, wins and losses don't matter. I don't believe that for a second. I think they castrated him in his chance to be who knows where he could have gone. Could he have been the face of the company? I don't think so. But you know what? Again, they never gave the guy the chance in front of the live audience. Is he someone that could have been a top-tier main event guy for the next few years? They don't know because they never gave the guy the chance in front of the audience. Would he have been a complete flop? They really don't know because they never gave him the chance in front of the live audience.
So you just said a whole bunch of stuff, and just to kind of go back a little bit. So I think this time last year when they had WrestleMania, yes, Brock Lesnar put him over huge. But they didn't know, they had no direction at that point. They didn't know what to do. They just needed to get a show on the air, and they wanted to be the only people running an actual, quote unquote live event at that point in time. So they didn't really have any kind of direction. I thought last year's WrestleMania was terrible. It was just horrendous. But given the circumstances of being under it at the time, I appreciated WWE actually putting out a product and being, somewhat original with it, and, having it at least having something out there for us to watch. And maybe for, the short amount of time that it was on, forget about everything that was going on in the world. Now, moving forward, was it right or wrong for them to put the championship on Randy Orton? This is how I look at it. At that point in time, Randy Orton was more over than he's ever been. He just came off of, having a tremendous, not only a great match at WrestleMania with Edge, but then I'm not sure what.
Whoa. The match last year with Edge at WrestleMania, you considered to be great? Last man standing or whatever it was?
Yeah, I think it was the last man standing. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought some of the spots that they did in there were very good. I thought it was the only thing that they made it look real. It was hard hitting.
Oh my God.
I enjoyed it. Now, I also thought whatever they coined it, the greatest wrestling match ever, or whatever a case.
It might not even have been the best match of the week, as Bryan and AJ really tore it down on SmackDown that week. It was an excellent edited match for TV. But
yeah, I agree. I thought it was a very, very good match. There, but again, I thought Randy Orton, for the first time in his entire career, was actually putting out excellent promos. And really getting people to buy into what was going on between him and Edge. And I thought it was the right call for him to have the title at that point in time. And I honestly think that he should have held it for a lot longer than what he did. This is not, you don't seem to be a big fan of Drew McIntyre. I feel, however, Drew McIntyre is doing great right now.
Really?
I like him. I like his product. I do think at times he can get a little hokey during his promos, so I don't know if that's him trying to ad lib, go off script, so to speak. And it seems very indie-rific with some of the stuff that he does. It tries to be funny with it, but without a gauge of somebody in the crowd reacting to it, it doesn't really make much sense. Do I think he's a champion? Yeah, why not? I mean, I think you can make anybody champion, to be perfectly honest with you. And it's just a matter of if they get over or not. Do I think he was getting over? Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't know how his merch sales went. I don't have that information in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that's how you can gauge it to see, how many T-shirts he was selling.
Nothing to write home about, from what I was told.
Well, I don't know where you're getting your information from.
WWE.
Oh, okay. Well, then, so then you might have a better insight than I do on this one. But again. I just don't think they had any direction on whatsoever on what to do, because they had no clue what they were gonna, what the future held for anybody. And, obviously the ratings were terrible, throughout the last year, and still continue to be pretty bad. And, I'm not a huge fan of the product and going on right now. But, just to kind of get back on track, what we're talking about, you talk about The Miz. You seem to be hating on The Miz, and I, for one, personally think The Miz is one of the best overall well-rounded entertainers that WWE has, and they do not use him properly. So I don't know how you're going to react to that statement.
Well, with Miz, I look at him like this. I think he's perfect heel, middle of the pack, intercontinental champion material.
Oh, you're
Anything
terrible.
above that, I don't think it's got the work doesn't have the credibility. He's too much of a goof. I don't see him as a main event guy.
See, I don't think he's a goof. I think the stuff that he does with John Morrison together, I don't think is great. I think John Morrison more of a goof than he is.
I'll agree with that.
And here's the thing: I think John Morrison's very talented. He's just not cast in the proper role that he's doing right now. You take the Miz. I for one loved the fact that he won that Money in the Bank. I think Otis is a goof. I think Otis needs to go. Some of the stuff that he does is like you're doing that, and I chuckle at it, and I'm not gonna lie, my son adores Otis and thinks he's great. Not now that he's a heel, which doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But just that whole run that he had, and that whole Mandy Rose storyline. I mean, it was just,
you talk about having no
cringeworthy,
thought, no direction. My God. And that
again, it's just what's terrible about it is that you have a whole slew of writers and a team of people that are in WWE right now, and they just have no clue how to write TV. They don't. They have no clue. They just don't know what they're doing, and it stinks because they just don't know. They don't know what direction to go in. They don't know where to feed anything, and it really stinks for the product and for the actual performers, because you got a lot of talented guys on there that are either not getting TV time or the right exposure, and or with all the releases they just had, they just flat out get fired. So I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
And I think that just continues to make things worse. I mean, to me, the biggest problem with those shows is that there is not enough variety. There is no reason to make you say, geez, I have to tune in next week to see fill in the blank. If it was me, I would try and limit everybody to maybe 2 appearances a month. Let there be a little bit more surprise to it, as opposed to having sometimes people in 3 or 4 segments a week on Raw, which is just unbearable to try and sit through a lot of the times. But, going back to poor Otis, I was told by an active WWE talent that, Vince just started to mentally orgasm over Otis. He loved Otis. Otis got the broad. He got, poor Tucker. I mean,
well, I mean, look
when
what Tucker is now.
When they turned on Tucker, I said it on the review show that week. I said, I hope he's saving his paychecks. And that prophecy, unfortunately, proved to be true. I don't know what promotions are going to be dying to sign Tucker when his 90-day compete clause is up with what body of work he had in WWE. But it is what it is. As far as Otis goes, it was funny when Jerry Briscoe joined us at Wrestle House down in Tampa. He was telling us that he recruited both of them, and thought that both of them, when he signed them, had great futures as kind of bigger guys within the company. What it turned into is what it turned into. But both of them have great shooting backgrounds, and instead we had, whoa, yeah. If they had
you do that very well. Were you teaching him how to do it?
The fans love when I do Otis for some reason. There's a couple of my imitations. That and Tony's lips they enjoy, but that's a different story for a different time. I know, right? But if they had an all-kid show, I think Otis would have been great. But for anyone over the age of about 9, I think Otis loses his charm a little bit. And to have built the entire SmackDown show around him, oh my effing God! I mean, come on.
I mean,
and Mandy Rose, of all people, who she's not going to confuse anyone with Meryl Streep with her acting skills. I mean, dear God, was that just some hideous.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be a fly on the wall during the booking meetings, or even just a fly on the wall just when people are actually writing down their notes, because I just don't get it. I mean, it's not even about, I get it, right? So here's the thing. WWE doesn't want to be considered a wrestling company anymore, but that they've been saying that for years, and it's really obvious now because they just don't have anybody that knows how to write it. They don't have anybody that understands storylines and what the difference between a heel and a babyface is. They just,
Yeah.
You have,
I mean, how many people cheat That's one thing you can say about, as much as I may not be the world's biggest Miz fan, at least he knows how to work as a heel.
Yeah. I mean, and he probably really one of the only ones. I was very surprised that they actually turned Roman when Roman came back, and the only way they got him to be a heel was to put him with Paul Heyman. And again, nowadays, that doesn't really sit well with me because I just don't understand it. You have a manager there who's not even doing any of the talking for the talent. So what's the point of having the manager?
Well,
I don't get it.
And you want to look at that confusion or blurring of the lines, the Hurt Business for a while. When they were in some pointless feud. I don't remember if it was Retribution or one of them.
Oh, God.
I mean,
don't get me started on Retribution.
Retribution may make Otis look like grade A 1987 quality WWF material. They were so bad. But I couldn't tell if the Hurt Business was supposed to be baby faces or heel. In some cases with Bobby, I still don't know if he's supposed to be a baby face or a heel. I think MVP's supposed to be a heel, but I don't even know about Bobby.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. And I think Bobby Lashley's always had that problem where he's just so stone-faced and you can never tell, what he's thinking or what he wants to do. I mean, I love his intensity. I think he's a talented worker. He can't cut a promo to save his life. But he doesn't need to because he's got MVP there. It's just too much gray area for me.
Well, you know what? I think the Bobby Lashley story, for all the problems in WWE right now, I'll say this. I think as far as their championship picture goes, I think it's actually perfect. I love Roman as the Universal Champion, and I love Bobby as the WWE Champion. I thought it was going to be a bro kick, no pun intended towards you, a bro kick at WrestleMania, 1, 2, 3, and then Drew was going to get his win in front of all those fans. But I was just, not only, Bobby has wrestled with us here in Boston Wrestling in the MWF. He's a good egg. He does a lot of great community work in Denver. But I thought he was just going to be the Stan Stasiak of 2021, and he was going to drop the title to McIntyre relatively quick. I was thrilled that he held the title because of just that. You talk about I don't want to say a sad career because he's done so much, but I mean just a career that could have been and should have been so much more if he didn't run into the issues he did with his then wife with WWE back in 2007, which led to him departing the company kind of on negative terms, so to speak. He had a couple of stints in TNA. He had his mixed martial arts career and so on. But, I mean, there is a guy that if Cena was going to be the number one guy, Lashley could have been 1A on whatever the opposite brand Cena was on. He was getting hot. He was getting over. He was involved with that thing with Trump. He was given the Austin, the magic dust from Stone Cold at WrestleMania that year. And then for him to be gone 6 months later, just so disappointing. Was glad when he came back. They really didn't do too much with a guy that I think is always over. I mean, he just looks like a badass. He's got that real life credibility for those that follow such things with his MMA career and his amateur wrestling background. From when he was in college and high school. He's a military guy. I mean, he has everything you need, you'd think, to be a top guy. I'm very happy they finally got there. But, I mean, this is a man that's now in his pushing mid-40s.
Well, you just made a huge comment. You said that the way that he looks, and this is going to get me off into a side tangent, especially in these times these days, is the look of a wrestler and the look of what a performer is supposed to be. I'm getting angry at the fact that, and this goes across all facets of wrestling right now. So you talk about AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan, all this stuff. These guys, for the most part, are working 1 day a week. And I would say 90% of them look like they are not doing anything with their bodies. And it just bothers the hell out of me. I come from an era where if you didn't take your vitamins and, say your prayers, that you weren't going to make it anywhere. And nowadays it's almost like if you're not sitting on the couch with your thumb up your ass doing nothing, that's what's going to, make you a star. I can't believe the fact that with them working 1 day a week on TV and you have you're not traveling on the road anywhere, you can't hit the gym for 2 hours a day. It bothers me. Like I can't get behind somebody that doesn't look the part. And there's too many of them there right now that just don't look the part.
Well, to me, more than the physical appearance, as far as the body goes, is just the actual size in general.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how many 6 foot tall guys are there compared to not under 6 foot tall guys? I bet it's pretty close.
Yeah, I would say it is. I've never looked at a height as something that is going to make you look the part. Just me being, 5'11" and not even 6 foot, being part of those guys that are under that. I've always done my best when I was an active wrestler to look the part. But like I look at somebody like a Daniel Bryan, to me, he looks the part. He's in shape. You know what he's capable of doing. You know his background. You know his backstory. But then you look at somebody like an Otis, who's just flabby, or I'll even say Seth Rollins. Like, he can't get a freaking razor and shave his fucking chest. Like that bothers me. Like, I don't understand it. Like, why can't he look the part? And he's doing it to cover up the fact that he's not working out, and he doesn't look as cut and as lean as he should be. And that part of it bothers me. Or even the fact that you have somebody like Dominic Mysterio, who probably has a promising future, can't hit the weights. The kid's tall. He's got to be 6 foot 6'1", and he's not hitting the gym. I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Don't even get me started on Dominic Mysterio. He's going to be the next Otis, the next Eugene, the next Zach Gowen. They've calmed down on because for a while, remember the Mysterio family push was nauseating when they were on. Oh, I don't know how many segments a week. The daughter was running around. She wanted to become a rat with Murphy.
Oh, yeah, but
he had the wife on. The wife was
some
like,
eye candy.
Well, you're not wrong, but what was she, 18? Then you had his wife coming out there like Maggie Simpson. She never spoke. There was just too much Mysterio for a while. They tamed that down, and I think that's a good thing. But I wouldn't overexpose the kid, and I don't think the full bodysuit that he wears helps his cause. Like you just said, I think he should be in NXT developing not only his wrestling skills, but his physical appearance.
100%. And to me, that's 95% of it is the way you look. You're on TV. I don't know. It's maybe it's just me and my old age and my bitterness right now. But I just think that you're cast as a superhero or a supervillain or somebody that's supposed to be invincible, and then you look like that. And if I saw you down the street, I'd probably smack you. That's just.
There's too many guys across all shows. I think the best way to sum it up is that if you came across them outside of what you were watching on TV, you wouldn't think they were pro wrestlers.
Exactly, and that's what they need to get away from. And it doesn't matter, to go back to the height thing. It doesn't matter if you're 6'5" or 5 foot. Like it matters how you carry yourself, and it matters what your appearance looks like, and what you can do combined with inside the ring, and then again on the microphone. And just too many of these guys just don't have it for me.
All right, wrestling fans, great talk here on the premiere edition of Wrestling Insiders, Stern but Fair, with the new MWF Board of Director member replacing Pete Tringali, the first ever MWF Heavyweight Champion, Tiger Mulligan. If you're just joining us during our premiere right now, we are going to take a brief time out. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the king of sports, professional wrestling. Stand by.
Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Mirade.
And this is the man of the hour, Leo Rush.
It's all over BostonWrestling.com and our social media. But Leo, brother, they got to check out some of this merch.
They got to.
Check it out, fans, right now available on eBay. You can add this to your collection.
Support Wrestling Insiders and keep wrestling legends working on eBay. Get this WWE NXT TakeOver War Games 2020 11x14 limited edition autograph poster signed by everyone on the event, number 23 of only 100 made. Includes signatures from the Undisputed Era, Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, Tommaso Ciampa, Timothy Thatcher, Io Shirai, Tony Storm, Rhea Ripley, Dexter, Loomis, and more. Comes with authentication hologram on the back of the poster. Also comes with mystery autographed 8x10 and an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, on Wrestling Insiders at your house. Get it now. All right, wrestling fans, welcome back. Remember that eBay store, it never closes, even though during those coronavirus times. I remember when you were a young Tiger trying to survive in the jungle of independent wrestling. You moonlighted at Applebee's, and in the winter you used to like to wear shorts. To try
I still do.
What do you mean?
I don't ever change. I always have shorts. Shorts 365 days a year. Doesn't matter if it's 100 degrees or 100 below. I'm always wearing shorts. You got to.
But you did that to try and hustle the tips. push the poverty angle.
Yeah. So what I would say to the people that I was serving is that I don't have enough money to afford the rest of my pants, so I have to wear shorts, and then I would get an extra little couple bucks out of them.
Well, or maybe something else from some of the women, but that's a different story for a different time. I don't know if the kids are going to listen at some point, but
hey, that's all right. Let them listen. They got to learn something.
They got to learn at some point, right?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, talking about professional wrestling, happy to have you back here in the fold. We are looking forward to hopefully having live wrestling back here in this area much sooner than later, or hopefully our 20th anniversary, Saturday night, November the 13th, is going to be on as we go back to the 80s for WrestleFest, along with 2 decades of great in-ring wrestling with the superstars and legends of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. You're going to have some interesting input on that now that you are on the board of directors. But what else is going on in the world of wrestling? What is making Tiger's mind think?
Well, you know what it is I look at the overall product. So
now, are you talking WWE in general or all of pro wrestling?
No, I'm talking about all of pro wrestling.
Okay.
So I'm kind of looking at it as it's not so much the WCW versus WWF time. You know, we got the AEW and stuff like that.
It is not.
And it's so different nowadays. And yes, they have so many different struggles of, you know, getting fans there and actually being able to, you know, create, you know, magic and things like that. It's hard. And I get their struggles, but I just think that whoever's in charge of whatever company it is, they've lost sight of what wrestling is all about. And that's the story. You know, since when has there just been a story to tell that can continuously go on and on for, you know, months at a time, and you stay intrigued? Now, on the other side of the coin, you could say that, you know, the attention span of this and that or whatever is just not there anymore. Well, I don't buy it. You know, if there's an intriguing story to tell, then people are going to continue watching. But if there's not an intriguing story to tell and you're just throwing people in a ring for the sake of throwing them in the ring, then it just doesn't make for good TV.
And I think that can be said for anything. You know, you want to blame declining ratings, so on and so forth. If you give something people that they want to watch, they're going to sit there and watch it.
I 100% agree. And, you know, if I had the magic pencil and I was on the booking committee for, you know, say WWE this time last year, man, I would have hit reset on everything. And, you know, their ratings weren't going to suffer
wouldn't
much
have got
more.
any worse.
No. And I would have played replays of whatever for, you know, or around package shows, you know, for, you know, 2-3 months at a time, and then just completely started from scratch and brought back the guys in the fold if they wanted to, you know, repackage them in any way, shape, or form, renamed, maybe even rename the shows or put new people out there. They try to do it in such a way where they just try to sneak people in, and they try to, you know, pull the wool over your eyes and say that this guy is now going to be a manager as opposed to like a security guard for, you know, Raw Underground, whatever the hell that was. And it's just, they're insulting the intelligence of the viewer and of the fan. And again, they're just losing sight of what makes wrestling, and that's the story. You know, can you really tell me any storylines that are going right now? There are none. There's zero storyline in any wrestling federation going right now, except for maybe the AEW and the Impact thing where Kenny Omega is kind of trying to take over the world. I get it, but again, there's really no full story behind it, and it's just they're just trying to.
In AEW, you also have the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle as they're getting ready for their War Games type match this Wednesday. So
yeah, but
little something there. I mean, if we really wanted to pick it apart and get down to the nitty gritty, is there anything that's really compelling? I think is maybe a better question, but you know, WWE has the Roman Cesaro Bryan thing going on SmackDown.
Yeah, but that's over because Bryan just lost the other day, so he's going to take his hiatus and go play with his kids for a few months, and then show up on NXT. Probably would be my guess. Although I think his contract is expiring soon, so who knows what he's going to try to do. And I hope that he leaves and goes somewhere else. I hope that he just becomes a weekend warrior again, because, you know, it's just kind of getting old because there's no freshness to it. Do I like the freshness of Cesaro? Sure. I love it. I think that it's long overdue. But what are they going to do with it? What are they going to do with it?
I enjoy Cesaro, but I mean, is there anything about him that says superstar? Is there anything about him that says main event? I don't know. I think he's really good. I just think he's bland.
Bland, yes, because it's just been doing. The definition of his insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again and get a different result. Well, that's exactly what they've done with Cesaro. They've just tried to do the same thing over and over again, and they can't get a different result. Put him out there in a different outfit. Put him out there, give him back a different name. Make him go back to his roots. Because when he was with Ring of Honor, he as the Kings of Wrestling with what's his name, Cassius Ohno or Chris Hero, whatever the heck he was called. It was compelling. He was putting on great matches, and he still has that capability. But they just don't let him be himself.
He has the capability of putting on a great match every time he gets into the ring. I don't think that's the problem. I just think it's that, you know what? I think people have seen what he can do over the past 10 years. They've seen it. They know it. Okay, we know what this is going to be next.
So you don't appreciate the what did he call that new move, the UFO or something like that?
Oh yeah, well you know what, that was creative, I guess. I think they pulled the plug on him with Zeb Coulter a little too quick. Maybe they pulled the plug with him and Heyman a little too quick. But you know what, I think that Heyman doesn't need a stable, and I don't think he needed a stable. I don't think he needed Curtis Axel and some of the other people they gave him over the years when Lesnar was on his different hiatuses and so on.
Well, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to take that Paul Heyman dust and spread it around onto other guys, but it just didn't work. I think he had Ryback at one point too, and it's just what a waste of space that guy is. But
what a loss I think Ryback is.
Oh, a loss?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I can't be. I can't. I don't even know how to react to that.
Think of how over he was. I mean, they booked him to absolute perfection, and the fans loved him. He was over as fuck, as they say. And then they ran into that situation where their roster was so thin and their creative sucked so bad, they had absolutely no one to fill in the blank when Cena got injured to face CM Punk on pay-per-view. What did? They put Ryback in the match because they had to appease The Rock when he was coming back in a few months. CM Punk couldn't lose, so they had Ryback lose and do the job. And just like I mentioned about McIntyre, once Ryback started to lose, he lost what was special about him.
Well, what's funny is I find it hilarious that we can predict what's going to go on. There's no, you watch a Dolph Ziggler match and Ziggler's going to lose, right? Or that's just the way it is. And I think he's so talented as a performer, and he could be such a star, but they just don't pull the trigger on him for whatever reason. But you just can predict it. I think that, getting back to what I said about the whole reset, like if they had just reset everything and conditioned everybody to something new and something fresh and something different, then it would be more compelling to watch. But they just didn't want to do that. They wanted to keep, let's just throw stuff up against the wall and see what sticks. And unfortunately, without fans, not many things can stick.
The tough part about them doing package shows would be in their television agreements with USA and Fox,
I get it.
They have to produce original shows. So they were kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. In the TV channels, they were understanding at first when everybody was trying to figure out what the hell are we going to do with life, at this point. But, those shows at the Performance Center for Raw were just, especially that first week where they didn't do the AEW camera shot. When they did the wide shot of just the empty chairs with Austin and Becky Lynch was one of the worst shows in the history of Raw.
Yeah, I agree. And
but again, what do you do? They weren't planning on a pandemic to end the world, and
well, if they had planned properly, then they should be ready for anything and everything to happen. That's in a perfect world, I guess.
Right, well. my big thing is, again, when it comes to just the freshness of the show, where it's so boring with the same people and repetitive segments and repetitive matches and repetitive promos over and over and over again. I know they saved, I don't know what it was, $7 million or so with all the releases they had last year, and then you had the 10 that were cut within, it felt like, I don't even think the ring was taken down yet at Raymond James Stadium when the list came out this year. But, unless it's someone that is causing a great problem or someone that is no good or someone that just doesn't want to be there and has a sour attitude, I wouldn't have got rid of any of them for the fact that it keeps the shows fresh.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what's it going to hurt to keep, say, Tucker around and just have him be an enhancement guy? He can go out and
throw
squat.
him $100,000. He'd take it.
I mean, I think he would take 75, to be perfectly honest with you, because he's not going to go get 75 grand flipping burgers for wherever he's going to be flipping them from.
Or go the old school route. I mean, I know it's kind of tough now, but I mean, just throw him like what WCW used to do in a lot of cases. And I know that because I think I don't know how much I've ever talked about it with you, but I know I've talked about it on the show. When Kevin Sullivan was booking, and he'd come in for Tony Rumble shows when I worked with his CWA, there were a lot of guys, all they had were television contracts. That's all they would do, would come in for TV, come out for TV, 75, 100 grand, whatever it may have been, and then let them do what they want on the weekends on their own. I mean, you know what? If a guy like Tucker, you have him for 75 grand, he's guaranteed to be there for Raw and main event each week. And then let him go do indies on the weekend. If he gets hurt, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean?
It's not a bad idea. The only problem with that is, especially with WWE, is they have to control everything. And that's why they don't do third-party bookings anymore, is because they can't control that narrative. They can't control, what the guys are, that their merchandise sales, and they can't do anything. They can't have their third-party deals anywhere.
But if you could, I know there is a way they could come up with a system, or even if you just added 20 guys to those type of deals that really, at the end of the day, wouldn't cost all that much to the bottom line. And think of how fresh it would be. I mean, I can't believe they didn't bring Carlito in. Look at how great, and granted, I'm a little biased towards Carlito. He's an MWF guy like you. He's a former MWF heavyweight champion. But my God, he looked like $1,001,001. And you want to know how I knew he was going nowhere? The night after the Rumble, it was a tag match. I think it was him and Hardy against Elias and someone else. It may have been that Jackson Riker, or it could have been someone else. Don't shoot me if I'm wrong. I don't have Google in front of me. But I know it was Hardy and Carlito against Elias and fill in the blank. And Carlito hit his finish, and instead of going for the pin, he tagged Jeff Hardy to hit the Swanton Bomb. So I said, you know what? They're not going to bring him in. And I just imagine if Carlito looked that good during his run. When he was there,
Yeah, but he didn't care back then. So he picked the wrong time to start hitting the weights. The only problem with that, and I agree with you to a certain extent, I think Carlito looked fantastic. I think that he could bring a lot to the table as, say, like a player coach. But I'm not a big fan of bringing back the old guys just for sake of bringing them back. If there's a good story behind it, then let's do it. I think the nostalgia behind it with him in the Rumble was cool. But why go backwards? And it's the same thing with, like, say Jeff Hardy and even Rey Mysterio nowadays. It's it's kind of taken the lusters off of it. I don't want to watch them anymore. It's time to move on.
My thought process behind bringing in these quantity of bodies is it keeps the shows fresh for the guys that you're pushing. Instead of having the same matches every week, think if Braun Strowman had 10 or 20 more guys to bounce around for a ping pong for him, or 10 or 20 more guys to take the bro kick from McIntyre, or to take the hurt lock from Bobby Lashley. It would make the shows more interesting. During the funny, it's not funny at all. The ironic thing is they have their own network. They have their own library when they could go back and look at the times when people loved the product, were in love with wrestling in general, and they could look at, well, geez, what worked back then, and how can we modify it to work in 2021? I mean, you're not going to go back to the days of bra and panty matches and hardcore matches in every segment. But, I mean, there's a lot you could do where the element of surprise is one thing that's gone. And not even the element of surprise. It's just, you know what you're going to see every week. Why not mix it up to the point where, Carlito's on Raw this week. He's on once or twice a month. Kalisto, he's on once or twice a month if they ever decided to bring him back. Or just all of those people. No one needs to be on TV every week. I mean, I come from the era of when Hogan, he used to do usually 1 or 2 matches on the syndicated show every year. He'd do the Saturday night main event specials on NBC a couple of times a year. And other than that, you had to go buy a ticket to see the man or see him on pay-per-view. Now, granted, the TV contracts are worth so much. That's obviously changed. But I mean, is there any network television show that's on that I'm not aware of where the guys are on 52 weeks a year? Is there a sports team that plays 52 weeks a year?
No, and you're never going to get that. That's just the way the world works. And, wrestling was always been that kind of outcast type, say, sport entertainment thing where, it's always got to be, new and fresh, and those guys are never getting their breaks and things like that. But you're right, and that's in the aspect of too much is too much. The overexposure is just way too much. I like it when I turn it on and I don't see the same guys over and over again. I can't sit through the same match over and over again. Like, how many times am I going to see, Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, or how many times am I going to see Dolph Ziggler against The Miz? And, it's the same thing over and over again.
Tag team divisions. What do they have? 3 tag teams on each show?
Well, there's no such thing as a tag team division. The tag team division was dead way back, in the Attitude Era. Well, I would say the Attitude Era kind of ramped up a little bit, but after that, it was dead. And it's never going to come back unless they really take it seriously. And they're never going to.
I think NXT has a decent tag team division, and I know AEW tries to have a decent tag team division. They just got a lot of tag teams out there. I mean, they have to kind of create them.
Well, because what happens is that everybody's afraid to get into a tag team because they know that sooner or later, probably more so sooner, they're going to get broken up, and only one of the people is going to get the push, and the next one's going to get sent out to pasture. There was nothing wrong with Heavy Machinery. See, I would like it more if I did like it. I didn't mind that tag team with Tucker and Otis together. Otis was the goofball. Tucker was the guy that kind of kept them on the straight and narrow and did the promos and things like that. It was an actual tag team. It was two styles, so to speak. It almost reminded me of like half Heart Foundation, half Bushwhacker at that point in time. And don't get me wrong, I loved the Bushwhackers when they were out there. But just like classic WWE, 3 weeks goes by and it's time to break them up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they were exceptional, but I thought they were a refined mid-card tag team.
Of course, I agree. And
it was much better than what wound up happening with either one of them, which is one of them out of a job, one that turned into, like I said, just a colossal failure as a top guy, and now he's just, you talk about the used and abused. Poor Chad Gable, my God. He was in a great tag team with Jason Jordan. He was in a great tag team with Shelton Benjamin. He was in a great tag team with Bobby Roode. Then they gave him one of the worst names in the history of the company.
You weren't a fan of Shorty G?
No. Now he is, I don't know if he's Otis's life coach, or I'm not quite 100% sure what that gimmick is, but you know what? I'm not a huge fan of it. It just seems like they had nothing for either one of them to do, but they weren't quite ready yet to cut them, so they put them together as a tag team.
Yeah. And you know what? And I don't want to even put any of the blame on any of the performers.
They're going by with what they get on a sheet of paper.
Yeah, I have nothing but the utmost respect for anybody that steps through the ropes, whether you be on an independent once in your life, or if you're on the grandest stage of them all. But it just stinks that especially nowadays, you got to be able to take a look at what you're presented and either make it work and or be able to have the the balls, so to speak, to speak up and say, no, this ain't going to work. We're going to have to do it a different way. And I can't think of anybody that that can, kind of speak up for themselves these days. They just kind of take what they're given, and it's just that.
Outside of that top select few, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a group of people walking on eggshells. They're making more money than they've ever made before in most cases, and they don't want
of course
to rock the boat and lose that, because where else are they going to get it?
Yeah, and it's funny because everybody, you can go back to like the John Cena era, and everybody said John Cena had a golden shovel and he used to bury everybody. But at the same time, there's not one person that I could think of that ever stepped up and actually competed with them, and or backstage put their foot down and said, no, this ain't going to work for me and my character. And look what happens. They just have become bitter people and decide to try to bury John Cena, on the dirt sheets and whatnot.
Well, I mean, you know what? I don't know who John Cena ever really made look bad. I know that there was that one issue that everybody had with Mr. Kennedy on that Raw from Los Angeles many moons ago. But other than that, tell me who?
No,
I'm not talking to you. I'm just talking in general.
Yeah, and you could throw people out there. Like you could even. There was a point in time where Roman Reigns, used to say, "Oh, John Cena is just trying to keep people down," and the Miz had said it at one point in time, and maybe they're just trying to be in character or whatnot for the interviews they're doing. I don't know. I don't speak to them personally, but you have your Kennedys and you have your Alex Rileys and you have your Michael Tarvers and all these other guys.
Well, people going nowhere in general, and they're looking for someone to blame.
Well, it's funny though is that I honestly thought Kennedy had a great upside to him, and even somebody like an Alex Riley, like I thought that guy had. Yeah, I thought he had a look. That. No, I thought he had a look. I thought he could speak. He was intelligent. He could cut a promo. But he likes to blame other people, and instead of just looking at yourself in the mirror and trying to chainsaw him, you just end up quitting the business.
Well, it seemed like they gave him a little bit of a chance for a couple of months, but to me, it seemed like it was going nowhere fast. I wasn't a Kennedy fan, but I can understand why people did enjoy him. But if you fucking have Cena and Orton on you and they don't want you around, you're not going to be around. So sometimes, like you said, you got to look in the mirror and say, geez, were there problems going on as to why? And as our good friend Bob Hawley has alluded to, there were other issues with Kennedy at the same time that when WWE wasn't as PC and, overlooking everything at every moment as they do now and testing for everything that they do now and so on. So, Kennedy had some issues. There was someone else you mentioned. I'm unfamiliar.
Michael
with
Tarver.
Michael Tarver said.
Well,
I thought he was terrible, but I mean, other than that, what was his problem?
Well, he's just another guy that wants to take somebody like a John Cena, who Cena really didn't have anything to do with Michael Tarver, except for maybe when originally they attacked Cena. I think that's when NXT was born and. Or Nexus was born, or whatever the heck it was, and they attacked Cena, and I think CM Punk was out there, and Gallows was out there too, and trying to say that Cena made it difficult for those guys backstage and whatnot. But you know what? Like, not for nothing. If everybody's so worried about their spot and they want to walk on eggshells and stuff like that, you want to go all the way back to that original SummerSlam with the Nexus guys and John Cena going over. If they knew deep down in their hearts that it was the wrong thing for John Cena to go over in that SummerSlam match, then why did they allow it to happen?
Well, here's my thing. John Cena had the greatest work ethic probably in the history of WWE. Try and match his work ethic.
Yeah, I agree.
Show up the times that John Cena would show up. Volunteer to do the media that John Cena would do. Be someone that would go above and beyond to do all the Make-A-Wish meet and greets. You don't have to be the guy that's requested for the meet and greet to go out and meet some of those kids.
Right.
A lot of the wrestlers interact with those that go for if they choose John Cena for a Make-A-Wish meet and greet. There's no law, there's no rule that says that's the only wrestler they can meet. There's some people, like you said, they have to look in the mirror and say, geez, what could I have done different maybe to have been wanted more, to be more of a value to the company? Was Michael Tarver a value to the company? No.
I don't think he was a value to himself.
I can't think of any value. I thought he was terrible in everything he ever did.
You didn't like the mat? He was the original person to wear the COVID mask with the T on it.
He did, yeah. Well, he was ahead of the time, except his wrestling. But wrestling fans, right now, I'm getting a cue from the back. We're going to take a brief time out. We'll be back with the final segment of the premiere of Wrestling Insiders, Stern But Fair. Stand by.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Mirade.
MJ in the house.
Future WWE Hall of Famer, mind you. Let me tell you this.
I'm not in there yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
But you will be.
I will.
Sean wants to be the first three-timer.
Three-timer,
yeah. There you go. Let me tell you, you enjoy the in-studio shoot interviews 4 times a week. It isn't cheap to put these productions together, folks. We need your
No,
help.
because he got to pay me.
Coronavirus has killed the nightlife in a lot of ways. We are night owls, Marty and I, but that's a different story for a different time. One way you can help is to check out the great merchandise we have in the Boston Wrestling eBay store. It is perfect for any wrestling man cave or any collection.
That's right. Check it out.
At WrestleMania 37, she proved she is the EST, defeating Sasha Banks to become the new SmackDown Women's Champion. Here's your chance to own this limited edition collector's autograph print, personally signed by Bianca Belair, one of only 50 made, direct from our friends at WWE. Also signed by original artist Rob Schamberger. Help keep wrestling legends working. Get this awesome Bianca Belair collectible for your wrestling collection now. All right, wrestling fans, what a premiere we have had with the man. He was the man here in Boston Wrestling, the Millennium Wrestling Federation. Like I said, he had an undefeated streak that would make Goldberg cringe. He was the first ever MWF heavyweight champion, winning a Soul Survivor competition that was unlike anything I've ever seen in wrestling, the way it was structured. And Bobby the Brain Heenan got in the ring to present him that championship belt. And now he is back home as we get ready to celebrate our 20th anniversary this fall. President Dr. David Reese has named him to the MWF Board of Directors, replacing Pistol Pete Tringali, who is retired. I just learned of this before taping the episode today. And not only that, but he's going to be here with me weekly doing Wrestling Insiders, stern but fair. So we're going to be feeling the wrath of the tiger, I guess. It's almost like that, what was that movie, that big Netflix thing called last year that turned into a complete and utter circus with Exotic Joe?
Are you trying to compare me, Tiger Mulligan,
Tiger
first
King,
ever?
was that it?
Yeah, Tiger King. Like, how are you going to try to sit there and compare me to that? I mean,
would you let Carol Baskin fillet you?
Let's not get into it.
No. Well, maybe you want to get into it. I don't know.
My kids might listen one day.
All right. Well, you changed your mind on that one awfully quick.
Yeah, I did. But, I want to take a little spin around here and talk real quick about announce teams. What is your thought? What is your thought on announce teams? And I'm not just talking WWE. I'm talking AEW. I'm talking, Impact. I'm sorry, I just can't watch it. Ring of Honor, I can't watch it. NWA, I can't really watch it. I mean, it's just really bad. But what is your thought on these announcers, the announced teams, and, the direction that this seems to be going these days?
Michael Cole is good at interviews. Michael Cole is good at voiceovers. He is not good at calling wrestling matches. He's not good at getting over wrestling angles. He's not good at getting over wrestlers. He's not good at getting over wrestlers' personalities. Why they continue to have him be a play-by-play guy going on 24 years now, it just highlights the problem with the show. No matter what you see in that squared circle, that man is going to be your quote-unquote friend you're going to watch that show with for 2 or 3 hours calling the show, and he's horrible. He is terrible at actually calling the wrestling part of it.
See, you know what? It's funny. I disagree. So, I get what you're saying because he doesn't really know all the moves, and the moves he does know are, the ones that, have super long names, and he sounds so impressive saying them. But what gets me, what really makes me think that he's great at what he does is the fact that he messes up so much that it makes it more real, if that makes sense. So I can sit back and watch a football game, and as the commentators or the announcers of the football game, if you really sit back and listen to it, they mess up names, they mess up, plays, they mess up so much stuff that listening to Michael Cole almost feels like I'm watching a football game, in that he just gets so wrapped up in the moment that he can't even speak, in that his passion comes across. So I
just don't think there is any passion. I think it's all feigned.
Yeah, it could be. Who knows? I mean, he back in the day, he was thrown into whatever the position was. He didn't think he was going to be there for a while because he was a news reporter, covering the Iraqi war.
Go back to Iraq.
No, come on now. I think
I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean, he ruins the show for me. I think sometimes when he has the right partner with him, he's tolerable. I thought he was pretty good with Taz. I thought he was John Layfield really brought something out of him.
Yeah,
but when he's
I
with
agree.
the wrong guy, forget about it. And the new replacement they have on the SmackDown show, dear God, I know the guy is trying, but he's trying too hard.
You're not a fan of Pete McAfee?
Pat McAfee.
Or Pat? See, I don't even know his damn name. The Pete's brother. I forgot.
He's ugh. It's a bad combination.
So I'm not going to disagree with that, and I really honestly think the only reason why McAfee's on there is because of the following he has and how over his podcast is. And I'm not going to even say with the stuff that he did in NXT was bad, because I don't think it was bad. I think it was really good. I thought it was entertaining, and he's got some entertainment behind him. But is he a wrestling announcer? Not so much. I think the guy that they have on Raw right now, I don't even know his name, Adnan or whatever his name is.
Oh!
I don't understand that.
This is a man that has never watched wrestling in his life.
Yeah, I'm not.
This would be like me doing commentary on NASCAR or golf. Was the analogy I used. I mean, I know in NASCAR they go around in a circle fast.
Yes, but do they go right or left?
I don't even know that. I know in golf, you're supposed to hit the ball into the hole. Other than that, I know nothing. And I could not imagine someone saying, here's our marquee show that the top cable network on television is paying us $5 million a week for. Ready, set, go. I was told that usually when the announcers come in, they have to sit through hundreds and hundreds of matches from the library that they call just to try and get down the WWE system. This guy, because of his friendship and relationship with WWE President Nick Khan, didn't even do that.
No.
The first wrestling match he ever called was the first match, whatever it was, the first match on Raw the day after WrestleMania. And it's an embarrassment. And I say that as someone that not only works in wrestling, that enjoys wrestling, but as a WWE stockholder. Why would you put that poor guy in that position to be hated and to suck?
Well, maybe that's what they wanted. Maybe
they wanted
somebody
to be hated and suck.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wish I was, again, a fly on the wall during those meetings to where they're talking about who they want to bring in. But, they have so many good, talented people there in the company. And even like somebody like Samoa Joe. Like, I don't think Joe really wanted to do the job, but I thought he was decent. I
thought
really,
he had credibility, which most of them don't.
And I like Corey Graves for that fact. I wish they would just allow Corey Graves to be the main guy as opposed to just the sidekick. But that's typically what happens when you get the guys out there that are former wrestlers. They tend to be the sidekick. You think he should be
the play-by-play guy?
I mean, if he was willing to do it, I think he can. I think he's smart enough. I think he talks good. When he was cutting promos back in NXT, I thought he was really good at it. Why not? I think they need to get rid of Byron Saxton. I don't know, who he's sleeping with to keep his job, but he should have been.
He has a nice personality.
Oh my God, yeah. My Aunt Charlene has a nice personality, but I'm not going to put her as a commentator.
I think there's a role for him. Maybe it's just not on the commentary team.
Perhaps, what? I'd prefer to see Byron in the backstage than this guy that they just pulled over from, England or Ireland or whatever they got on Raw.
Oh my God, yeah. I can't even understand what he says.
Yeah, that's the problem is I don't understand what he's saying. But then you also have somebody like a Kayla Braxton who's unbelievable.
Unbelievably.
I love Kayla.
She just sits there with that blank look on her face.
It's great. She's so hot.
What do you think about your match tonight with Roman Reigns? And the blonde-haired woman they have on Raw is even worse.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is either. I just think that they need to really revamp their announce team. Even the
that is what needs the bomb to go off on all of them. I just get rid of all of them.
Don't have them do it. Don't have it. Well, see, but AEW to me is no better because you have don't get me wrong, I love JR. He's great. But he should be producing it more. I don't think he needs to be out at the table. Same thing with, Shivani. I don't think he needs to be there. But the fact that they always have, I don't like 3-4 man teams. Keep it at 2. What's wrong with just 2? And you get too many people out there. It's too much.
AEW almost has too many people they can use. I mean, I
Yeah.
think Taz is great at it, but Taz, I think, in 2021 is one of the best promos in the business, which is almost absurd to say where he was gone for so long. But with AEW, to me, the having someone out there with a mask loses all credibility to me. It's almost like it turns into Halloween, calling his Spanish moves. Please.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I haven't followed this guy's career too much. I'm not sure where he came from beforehand, but the mask, he's not on TV too much for me to be, one way or the other with it. We're talking about Excalibur here.
Yeah.
But it's
Tope
doesn't make
Suicida. I mean, who the fuck is sitting around? Oh shit. It's a Tope Suicida.
I mean, but that's the name of the move, no?
Well, all right. He overdoes it. Maybe almost like with Joey Styles when Joey Styles used to scream.
Yeah.
And the one
and
even worse was, who I thought was pretty good, but again, all he did was scream, was Mauro Ranallo. I mean, if they could
Mauro Ranallo is awesome. He's unbelievable.
But the point I'm trying to make is when you scream about everything, it takes away from the moments where you could scream and add some excitement to it.
Yeah,
when you scream about a clothesline.
Yeah, no, and I agree. Where Mauro
he needed Valium desperately.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of us do. What I think what Mauro was doing was trying to, the excitement he brought from, the MMA world, he was trying to bring it over. But the difference is that in the MMA world, you only get, you get that one knockout shot and the match is over, where here you might get a knockout shot, but it's just a false finish. And he's just jumping up and down for no reason.
Of it.
Yeah. It was a little much. I agree with you.
And then
how about Tom Phillips? What's wrong with him?
Nothing. I don't think he's great, but I think he's better than anyone else that they have in WWE.
Yeah, I agree.
They gave up on Vic Joseph really quick.
Yeah, but why? I see no issue with Vic Joseph at all, and I like what Wade Barrett and Beth Phoenix.
Oh no!
Come on now, let's be fair.
No, she is the worst of the worst. She sits there and reads sentences off of pieces of paper. She interjects them at the wrong time. She is awful. She is atrocious. You know what? Maybe this is the stern part, but if she wasn't Edge's wife, she wouldn't be in that position. She sucks.
See, I don't know. I don't think she sucks.
She's a nice lady. Very nice person. No, she is, because she was out at the Cauliflower Alley Club a few years ago. But I mean, it's just awful. It doesn't sound real. It doesn't sound sincere. It sounds like she's trying to be excited, reading off of a piece of paper that was handed to her. Much like Adnan Burke is going to be doing on Raw. She's awful. I think Wade Barrett's pretty good.
I like Wade. Well, he's always been able to talk. That's the difference. Is a guy that can talk on the microphone is comfortable and can ad lib and get on the fly and do things. That's Wade Barrett. Beth Phoenix, on the other hand, I don't really recall too many of her promos and her promo skills. But you're right; it does sound like she's trying to force something as opposed to just try to be herself. But I think overall the announce team is not looked at enough, and I think they need to take a better look at things.
I think it is a giant problem. That is your salesman for 3 hours or 2 hours, however long the show is, to try and sell your product. We had Vince, we had Gorilla, we had Jim Ross. When we were younger fans, as we were breaking into the wrestling business, there were great soundtracks playing behind the great in-ring work. You had great interviewers like Mean Gene, and now you just have, to me, you have people that just either don't know the product or in a lot of cases aren't very good at it. I disagree. I think Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone are very good on AEW. I wish Taz would be with them, but Taz, at the same time is a manager, and, maybe Tope Suicida could do an internet show for them.
Well, it's funny. So I don't want to be, taken out of context, but I do enjoy Jim Ross. I think he's the best in the game and always will be. But the difference between back when Jim Ross was really doing it on Raw and the Vince McMahons and the Gorilla Monsoons and Bobby Heenans was those guys grew up pretty much in the business, knew everything that was going on in the business, and actually could call wrestling. Whereas these days, you're hiring somebody outside, has no clue what's going on, doesn't really even know that WWE exists. And you're putting them out there in front of, I guess, a crowd, so to speak, of millions of viewers and expecting them to succeed, but you're just setting them up to fail.
Yeah, that Adnan Verk, I don't know if it was Sports Illustrated, but when I was scrolling Twitter one day, I came across an interview with him, and they asked about his thoughts on WWE and so on. He says, well, I travel a lot for work, and I have 4 kids, and so basically saying I've never watched this before in my life, and I know nothing about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, he's got the in. When the WWE president, Nick Khan, was more of a talent agent, he used to represent Adnan Verk. But I just don't know what, in Nick Khan's mind, who seems like a very intelligent man from the interviews I've seen with him and him speaking at the investors meeting, at the quarterly meeting they just had, very well spoken, a very smart man. I just don't know why in his head he would pitch someone like Adnan Verk. I mean, did these suits not realize that it takes more than reading off a piece of paper to be good at doing the job? I mean, is that what they do in baseball? Do they have people that have never watched baseball just sit there and read off of a piece of paper? I don't think so.
Well, no, but again, what we're missing the whole point is the suits are no longer people that have come up in the business. The writers are no longer, or bookers or whatever you want to call them, are no longer people that have come up in the business. It's all outside. It's all outsourced. It's all people that have really no clue and just are being offered all this money to come in and do things. And that's why there's a revolving door, and why there's the turnover rate in WWE is just so high. And AEW a little bit better, where you have actual wrestlers writing storylines or pitching ideas and getting to carry things out. But again, it's still not cut and dry just yet.
Very hit and miss in that with AEW. Me, AEW, and this is probably going to have to be for another episode, but generally you get 1 or 2 really killer segments each week, and then the rest of it doesn't even belong on national television.
No, I agree. But, it's still a starting point for them. And
I mean, for all those that do knock them, you have to remember it's a company that's not even 2 years old as far as producing a regular weekly TV show.
And their first year in actually producing that weekly television has, half of it was, without any fans, and they had to adjust on the fly. And I actually think they did relatively good with adjusting on the fly. I liked when they didn't have fans. I preferred watching AEW over WWE because it felt more like there were people there, and it felt more, of a real TV show, a wrestling TV show, as opposed to what WWE put out.
I agree with you 110%. I thought their atmosphere was so much better than WWE's before they came up with Thunderdome. It wasn't even funny. I think it's nice that they have the limited amount of fans that they do have.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, that's only going to grow from there. And not for nothing, why WWE, the Thunderdome idea, it was a good idea. But, when you could, instead of putting, 1,000 TV screens out there, why don't you put, 500 and then squeeze 500 people into somewhere and just make it, that much better? Who knows?
I just think, in my opinion, nothing that I know is fact, but in my opinion, I think they just don't want it to come across looking small, tiny, like with WrestleMania, with the hard camera shots and so on and so forth. In between each group of actual people, there were 3 plastic heads, cutouts. Yeah. So, I mean, if you looked at it, it looked like it was a full house if you look at it on camera. But, most of those were just, cardboard cutouts. But, you really wouldn't know the difference. And if you're actually interested in what's going on, you're really not going to pay that much attention to it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And it's, they're so worried about their what they're perceived as, but not for nothing. Everybody knows what's going on in the world. It's not like it's only affecting WWE. So why not just take that chance and, see what happens, as opposed to not even trying it?
Well, I don't know. I do know we are just about out of time on this program. Again, the top of the hour, it is Wrestling Insiders Week in Review. Well over 4 hours of great wrestling talk with shoot interviews this week with Men on a Mission's Oscar, the WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA Tony Atlas, the debut of Sinister Minister James Mitchell, Marty Jannetty, whose Party with Marty never ends, as well as John Cena Sr. And now we're going to be planning on every Sunday night with the man himself, Mr. B.O.D., the board of director, the former MWF heavyweight champion, Tiger Mulligan. Tiger, any final thoughts on episode 1 of Stern But Fair?
I mean, we're just getting started. We're just getting rolling. It's going to get better and better each week. And just to kind of give you a little insight for next week, I want to talk to you about crossover. And that's all I'm going to give you is just some crossover. Right. So we'll keep everybody up to date with things going on. And, we're going to be stern with it. And we're going to I hope to get a lot more stern with it, but we'll always stay a little bit fair.
We have to.
Yeah.
We have to be open-minded and fair. All right, wrestling fans, running out of time here again. Top of the hour, we have the supersized Wrestling Insiders Week in Review, along with a slew of brand new talk shows. Again, Oscar's Wrestling Insiders program, we have changed the time. Instead of it leading into Raw, it's going to premiere at 11 p.m. right after Raw ends for original wrestling talk on Monday nights to go along with the rest of our talk shows that air at 10 p.m. after the NXTs, the AEWs, and the SmackDowns of the world. For my longtime close personal friend Tiger Mulligan, I'm Dan Mirade. We'll see you next Sunday night on Wrestling Insiders Stern But Fair. Good night.
Bro.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Boston Garden in Boston, Massachusetts, Saturday, May the 2nd, 1987. In the opening contest, Nick Kiniski beat Frenchie Martin. Demolition with the win over the Islanders. Iron Mike Sharp defeated CV Affy. In the main event, WWF World Champion Hulk Hogan retained the title over King Harley Race. After the match, Race attacked and bloodied Hogan, building to a Texas death match between the two in June. Sika victorious over Duke of Dorchester Pete Doherty. Brutus the Barber Beefcake beat Johnny V, replacing Adrian Adonis. Ken Patera with Jake Roberts, who he replaced, with the win over the Honky Tonk Man. And WWF Tag Team Champions, the Hart Foundation, retained over the British Bulldogs. If you were in Boston live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our world-renowned Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll Journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.